Hello everybody, welcome back to Wild Wild Wes's map of Gelvin Valley and Farming Simulator 15. Been enjoying it here, enjoying it as much as ever, although I haven't had many episodes on it here of late. Kind of been taking a retro look at Farming Simulator, going back even to Farm Sim 11 and enjoying some of those things on there. I don't know, I must just be someone that constantly lives in the past, as you would say. But we are in here fertilizing our fields. They've all been planted for the next crop, and we're just giving them some nutrients and hopefully get set up for a good harvest of barley upcoming. Actually, speaking of that, let me do this real quick. I don't think you'll keep on going. Let me see what the prices are. Straight across, okay. Pheasant pluckers is typically the highest, and 220 on barley, 181. I think they're hanging on. I like it when it's above 200. But I guess we are farmers, we are price takers. We'll take what we get. I continually look at how beautiful it is in here. Just did a bang up job with this map, and I thoroughly enjoyed it. According to my notes, this is my 143rd episode. I'm still trying to catch Reefy 1952. I think he had, I'd have to look it up. I'm going to get this wrong, Reefy. Was it over 200 of them on Old Ridge Farm? So, let me see if I can do, oh wait a minute. Let me get to the other end. I think if I go up the hill, maybe that'll get some longer passes. I can't really say I have a goal, since my style in here has been more chewing the fat, as my friend Eustace Farmer would call it. Basically talking about whatever is front of mind. Let me see, is that going to get the job done? Oh, hey, no, I didn't mean to turn it off. Just, there we go. That's probably going to do it. Boom. Yeah, I think that'll take us up and over the hill. Good, good, good. Although sometimes I've noticed, and maybe this is one of those cases, on hills, I think the GPS is designed for being on the flat. But sometimes when we're, yeah, see, it's got little skips in there. Even though it's getting the width, you know, that should be appropriate for what we're doing here, some of it's going to miss. You know what? That's okay. I think in real life I don't know that anybody has perfect fertilization, even with GPS. So how should we expect... Oh, I didn't mean to do that. Dang it, I wish there was an undo. Well, maybe we can get it close. Do it one more time. Is that about right? Let me see if I can narrow this down just a fuzz. Not the offset, the working width. Work tick. That might be just enough to do. Well, let's see here. How do I move it? No, that isn't what I was thinking. I was wanting to move it over. That'll work. Sure, we can work with that. Yeah, I think that'll fit just a little better what we're trying to do. Yeah, we narrowed it up just to make sure we can meet the width here, kind of on this slope. Alright, let's remove our HUD. Well, in my last episode, I talked about our trip to Arizona, and I talked really about friendship. And, I don't care who you are, everybody, I think, has a friend at some point or other in life. And a good friend, a real friend. And most everybody I've ever talked to I don't know that I've met anybody that has ever told me I have a lot of friends. Not me, but them personally. Most people that I've ever talked to have said, I don't have many friends. And anybody listening to this, I don't know what you would say. It maybe begs a definition. Well, just what is a friend? How close, does that relationship need to be before you call it a true friend? Maybe some of us would say, well, I got, any number of friends at school, people we hang out with or whatever, but are they in the purest sense a friend? Someone you could share something with, almost anything. Is that what a friend is? I'd almost say if it's someone you could share anything with, maybe it's a spouse. Although, some people probably say, well, I can't even share certain things with my spouse. So maybe everybody has a different definition of what would constitute a friend. I don't know. But when you lose one or have to come to terms, with certain harsh realities of life, like many of us did here in losing Eustace Farmer, that we all got acquainted with through his YouTube and interactions with him back, I know, on the days of the FSU UK forum. I know he was there, and just other interactions, when you bump into people and you become acquainted and friendly and then have the rug pulled out from under you, just kind of coming to terms with those realities. But I think most everybody is gifted relationships. I mean, we're all humans. We all would have to come from someone, so we have parents, maybe we have siblings. And hey, I realize it, not everybody has a happy home life. For some people, that's a horrible place. And maybe their only refuge is, with other people or what have you. Let me go get my other tractor. I'm just going to have him follow me out of here. But suffice it to say, he is very missed. And so we had a trip to Arizona. My wife and I went to see Mrs. Atomic this time as part of our trip, with being at my brother-in-law's wedding, and spent the evening with her, just kind of reminiscing and visiting about a number of things. And as you might expect, and I mean, oops, is he okay? He's following. When you remember the past, are you coming? Yep, you're coming. When you remember the past and you remember relationships and people and friendships and people that you love, like in her case, there's a mixture of so many different emotions, that can't be put into words. And, maybe most of the people listening to this are probably male men. Hey, you know what? I get it. Maybe many of us would say, well, emotions are kind of a woman's thing or whatever. Well, they're not. All you got to do is care about someone and then have them taken away, and that's called emotion. And so just processing that and being able to go and talk to her at this time, it's not yet a year after, we all lost Atomic 67, but it's getting close. And just visiting about coming to terms with that, things she's trying, things, we've done here, and just wrestling with some of those things. And so in the process, I mean, there's there's laughter, there's happy things shared about the past, and then there's sad things, and there's tears, and it's just those tough things of life, that to work through. Is that guy coming? Oh, very good. What a good fella. Let me hop to him real quick. I'm going to take him off. Follow me. I should have been using follow me before. I'm going to come park up here by him. Get a little more sauce. The first time I visited Atomic 67, we went to his home. Other, I was going to say people, other occupants of his home, maybe I'll just put it that way. One was his cat. And what's his cat's name? Is it Otis? Otis? I think he had a cat named Otis. Anyway, I seem to recall Atomic telling me, I think it was a shelter cat, that he had. So Otis, oh my back, it's so cold. Otis didn't exactly come from a happy background himself, but with Atomic 67 being the kind of person that he is and having a heart for, those that maybe aren't as advantaged, he got a cat at the shelter, and I don't think Otis was the only one. I think he's had several, and some of these pets have had, some issues that, have required some additional TLC and care, vet visits and all that. And I seem to recall for Otis, he told me that he'd never even been able to pet him really, and I think a lot of us know cats. I'm a dog person, if I had to say what it is. Dogs are just generally so much more friendly, more attentive to their humans in terms of companionship, and cats have always struck me as kind of aloof and kind of they'll come around you when they need something, when they need food or whatever, but otherwise you're nothing to them. Other than an annoyance. I mean, can't you just see that in the mind of a cat, that their human caretakers are just, kind of an annoyance? At least that's kind of my perception of it. And yes, I'm anthropomorphizing a cat, and probably doing the same with a dog. But anyway, Atomic 67 had this cat, and I think he said, the cat wasn't really friendly, nobody could pet it, or he hadn't even been able to pet it that much. To get, affection from it or what have you. And at the time, I mean, this was a year ago, I don't recall if I even attempted to pet the cat or whatever. The cat was just there, and I think it took a while for it to even come out. If you get 4 more people in the house, my wife and I and my 2 sons, those with strangers come around, I think the cat basically ran and hid for a while. But this time, it was just my wife and I. And we went there, and Mrs. Atomic suggested, why don't you go see if you can pet the cat or whatever. She was getting some things ready there. So I went over, and again, I'm not a cat person, but I started petting this cat. And she was just amazed because, like I say, he isn't a very friendly cat. He wouldn't let people touch him that much, but he sure let me pet him. So much so that she went and found a brush for me so I could brush some of his fur, and he really liked that. And I have never in my life seen a cat do this. You'll see it with a dog sometimes. I don't know if it's an alpha thing or just what it is, but a submissive dog, not only will they let you pet them, they will turn over on their back and let you pet their tummy or whatever. And it's a very vulnerable position for an animal to be in. But dogs will do that, so I'm familiar with seeing dogs do it. I never have seen a cat do it. Never once in my entire life, until being at their home there and getting to do that with Otis. I mean, when does a cat show you their stomach? I was dumbfounded. So that was kind of special to me. My friend's cat, would allow me to have that kind of an interaction with him. That was kind of special to me. Whoop. Oh, maybe should have grabbed some more. I don't know if I should come over here or yeah. Well, let's see here. Let me look at our fields real quick. Okay, we've started fertilizing here. We did all of these over here. We came up the hill. We did these. We just did 32. So I know we have 38, 37, and 8, but we also have the other side of the valley. So maybe what we'll do, I'm going to sneak over here to 38, and then we're going to head up the road, take care of 5, 22, and 18. Yeah, I don't know if this is the best route to go in terms of doing this, but it's what we're going to do. While we were with Mrs. Atomic, one of the things she had for us in the kitchen after we came back from the restaurant was some chocolate cake. That was one of Atomic 67's favorite. And I think I mentioned last video getting him a chocolate cake once. Apparently that was something he really enjoyed. So we kind of had that in memory of him there. And at some point, we all know how the course of conversation goes, as you visit. One of the things that somehow came up that I mentioned to her is, friends influence one another. I think there's sayings out there that you can tell what a man's like by looking at the friends that he chooses to keep, and it isn't just a man thing. I mean, it'd be any of us. And the reason is because those that we associate with, of course, can influence us. And one of the things Atomic 67 influenced me to do, aside from getting involved in YouTube, but he got me thinking of Route 66. In the U.S. here was an early highway that ran from Chicago to Santa Monica, down in L.A., somewhere, California. Basically over 2,000 miles of highway. It was an early road. I think it was the first paved road that you could go from the Midwest. It wasn't transcontinental. First paved road that people way back in the day could travel from the Midwest to the West Coast. And for a while, it wasn't paved. I mean, I think in the early teens and 20s is when the road was kind of being established. And, if you look it up on YouTube, Route 66, there are clubs and people out there that are Route 66 enthusiasts. And they search for the old road alignments. I mean, I know I've enjoyed many of their videos and all this in the app, but it was just an early American road, and I almost think it's an international phenomenon. There's people all over the world kind of interested in it, and I had periodically heard, I think over time, of Route 66 from various places, but I credit Atomic 67 for getting me really interested in it. I now have a couple books on it, and like I say, I've spent a great deal of time watching other people's YouTubes on it just for the sake of the history of classic Americana. And there's something, I know something Atomic 67 told me one time is that he must have been born with an old soul, I think is how he called it, because he was always interested in old stuff. Whether it was his grandfather's farm machinery, the old stuff that he had. He, a lot of times when we were farming together, if you will, like in Hobo's Hollow, he'd bring in, and I think he'd show this on his YouTube videos too, he would seek out old equipment mods to put into his gaming sessions. Especially if they reminded him of something that he was familiar with in the past. Like I say, his grandfather's truck, where he delivered farm products and that kind of thing. So one of those old things that Atomic 67 was interested in happened to be Route 66, and he got me interested in it too. Especially the last trip, or the trip where I came to see him and meet him for the first time face to face. Down in Arizona, there's a significant section of Route 66 that runs through there, and so just seeing those small towns and the remnants of this road, that I'd heard of. I maybe have commented in here before. Some of the things that went through my mind was just thinking, okay, well, he's now down in Arizona. Maybe future trips could be planned, and we could, do an excursion on Route 66, or part of it, that is. Whether it's seeking out an old road alignment or whatever. Just one of those things you do with a friend, and just one of those things, and unfortunately isn't gonna happen with his passing. But suffice it to say, I blame him, blame him for getting me interested in it, and that kind of thing. So we were talking about this with Mrs. Atomic, and all of a sudden she says, I'll be right back, or something like that. And she left the room for a little while, so my wife and I are sitting there, and I looked at her and I said, did I say the wrong thing or something? And, I wasn't sure what it was. Well, what it was is Mrs. Atomic, she disappeared, and she came back with this big red sack. It's one of those bags, one of those gift bags. I call it a sack. It's a gift bag like you see at Christmas. It's got all the paper, what's that paper called? That wispy paper stuff that goes in there. Shoot, I don't know what that's called. But anyway, she said, I have something in here for you. And it must have just, when we talked about Route 66, it must have just triggered something in her that she remembered she had something back there. Because there's no way she could have done that just on the spot while we were talking. So she must have prepared it earlier. But so I go digging around in there, and the first thing I think I pulled out is a license plate. And it says, let me hold it back here. I'm not going to say what it says. First off, I don't even know what all it says because I don't have it in front of me. I have it in my office at work. But it was the license plate from Atomic 67's car. He had this orange car that he had. I don't remember what kind it was. I'm sure she told me what kind it was. I remember seeing it. He came to the hotel when to lead us to his home the first time when we came down, and yeah, it was the orange car. But he had this license plate on there, and it was a specialty plate that had something about Route 66 on it. And there was a song, I think, played back in the day or sung called Get Your Kicks on Route 66. So it kind of had that phrasing, I think, along the bottom of it. It's a Arizona plate. And I was just floored. Looks like I forgot to... Once again, forgot to turn my tractor off, but oh well. So she tells me, she says, I want you to have it. And I gotta say, I was just blown away. I was so not expecting that I just, I didn't know what to say. Other than it's like, well, are you sure? I think I asked her that, I don't know how many times. I couldn't imagine her being willing to give away something like that. But she did. I was just so honored. Just so honored that she would be willing to trust me with that. And there was two other items. Another one, and I'm almost positive he's either showed me a picture of it before, or maybe it was when we went there to visit him in person, or maybe it's in one of his videos. I don't recall. But he had the word tin type comes to mind. It was of his grandfather's tractor. His grandfather must have had a farmall or Massey Ferguson tractor, I'm not sure, is a red tractor. And there was a tin type of it, kind of a model of it, if you will, that you could hang on the wall. And so she sent me home with that. And at the base of it, kind of underneath it, was another license plate, not one that was ever used, but it was a, this time let me turn them off. It was a Nevada plate from where they had lived previously. And so that was kind of just on there, kind of held on with fishing twine, if you will. So kind of a replica of his grandfather's tractor and another license plate. And then the other thing, she after I saw those things, she said, okay, and then I have one more thing for you. And I never saw him, I don't think, wear a cowboy hat. But apparently he would occasionally put on a cowboy hat. I guess that does really fit his persona. You know, for those of us in the U.S. here, he was a strong supporter of, well, he's a strong supporter of the country, period. But particularly so of the Second Amendment, if you will, the right to keep and bear arms. So I guess that makes sense that he would be a cowboy type. But she brought two hats out, two cowboy hats, and said, you can have one of them. Just pick which one you want, and you can take it with you home. And I gotta say, once again, I mean, I was just blown away by all this. I still am. And yeah, like I say, I don't know how many times I asked her if she was sure she really wanted to share those with me, because I mean, that was just, what a tremendous gift, you know, to be able to take that home. And so we, my wife and I, when we left then for the evening, took that with me, and let me say, that was precious cargo. I took it as a carry-on on the plane with me. I kept it, you know, at my feet on the plane, and just was real careful with the hat so it didn't get banged up or anything like that. And now, I mean, I opted to take it to work. I spend obviously every day at work, most every day in the week, and just figured that that'd be the best place to have it. Got myself a hat stand. Yeah, look at these trees. About time they started poking out of the ground. Got a hat stand, and actually, I mean, it was kind of good timing, because, you know, I was doing some decorating in my office. I'm a horrible decorator as it is. So it was really nice, actually, to be provided some of these items, you know, to even put in there. I already have the tractor tin type. Ooh, am I going up the right way? Hopefully I am. Have the tractor tin type on the wall with a Nevada plate, and I just need to take in a little bit more efficient twine so I can put the Arizona plate on there, you know, at a place where I can see them every day. I have his hat sitting kind of on a cabinet that sits in the corner of my office, right next to a window. Got the hat stand up there, and I've kind of cocked it at an angle so I can see it. And yeah, I mean, it's I think I told her, I've sent some pictures to her since to kind of show her what I've done, you know, with these items in the office. And I think I told her at one point it looked much better if the man was standing underneath the hat instead of, you know, the hat stand and the corner cabinet, you know. But obviously he isn't here, and I don't know how you are, you know, when it comes to things, you know, we should be in the habit of packing lightly in life. You know, we all know we're born, and at some point we're going to die. I mean, that's just reality. So the idea that we can even take anything with us, you know, to the next life, I mean, we all know we can't do that. You know, I think most famously we could see down or over in Egypt, you know, the pharaohs of old, where they spent so much resources and enslaved even their people to build these massive pyramids and all the wealth that they put in there, somehow thinking that they would take it with them to the next life. And and they couldn't. There it sits, and they've long since been looted or hauled off to museums. So we're no different. We can't take anything with us on this, nor by having objects can we bring back, the people that had them before. But I think all of us like, the reminders, and I've enjoyed these, and it's just, one more reminder of a friend. And so I'm honored and happy to have those in my office, and they will be in there into perpetuity as far as I'm concerned. And wherever I go, they're gonna go with me. And speaking of memories, we all have his videos are still up on YouTube, and so any one of us can pull them up and get a taste of the past and remember the man, that was our friend. And even in that, it's a different kind of memory. I think I was telling Mrs. Atomic that I'm still personally, this is just me personally, having difficulty listening to his old videos. I think there was even another friend of Atomic's that is also a fellow YouTuber and, has some amount of popularity, way more than I'll ever have, of course. But just said that to me that it just doesn't feel the same doing it anymore without Atomic 67 being around. And you know what? I totally understand that. I mean, it doesn't feel the same to me either to make these. I was used to, before he passed, that every time I'd release one, he'd give me his critique, his comments, and encouragement, and all those things. And it did take a lot of the sparkle out of it not having that. And more so maybe even than I ever would have thought. I think I've made it pretty clear on here. One of the things I don't do that so many YouTubers do is, asking for the likes and subscribe and all this and that. And that isn't my reason for doing it. So, I mean, if people do, that's fine, that's wonderful, but that isn't my motivation. But yet I so miss my friend giving me the encouragement, the kudos, the attaboys, whatever you want to call it, to do it. So yeah, maybe that kind of thing means more to me than I would have thought. But anyway, we just all heard the timer, and it's horribly late at night, so I think I'm going to close the episode here. Thank you so much for coming along to listen, and what I can share about my friend and some of the things that have happened here. And I know he was a friend to many of us. So you all have a wonderful day, and I will see you again hopefully on the next one. Goodbye for now.